everyone. Today I want to talk with you about a topic that comes up a lot with my clients who are expats. And it usually goes something like this. So these are clients who have moved to a new country or who have maybe gone through another type of transition in their lives. And they come to me and they're, are being quite hard on themselves about how they're adjusting. Often saying things like, everyone else does this so much better, or I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I'm overreacting about this, or maybe I'm too sensitive. And when I hear that, when I hear maybe I'm too sensitive, that's kind of like an alarm goes off in my mind. And I think, okay, we need to, let's talk about this a little bit further. What often happens is with these clients is that when we start talking about that, it turns out that this is not the first time that they've wondered if they're a bit too sensitive. It's often a message that they've been carrying around with them for a long time. Maybe something that they heard while growing up is that they were too sensitive. And that's when I get to introduce them to this concept that's called the highly sensitive person. And sometimes it takes a little bit of warming up to that definition. So the highly sensitive person was something that was, it was a term that was coined about 30 years ago now by Dr. Elaine Aron. And it's, the idea is that there is a subset of the population estimated to be around 15 to 20% of people who just feel things and think about things more deeply. So they have a rich, complex inner life, and then also are just more sensitive to stimuli, and that can be external stimuli or internal stimuli. So it's just a matter-of-fact thing, kind of, it's just something that makes a certain subset of the population unique. But unfortunately, most people who do have this trait have many years of getting the message that this is something that is wrong with them. And so that's something that comes along with them when they go through these big life changes like moving abroad. They don't come into it usually with a sense of like understanding and empathy of like, this is going to be hard because this is, changes in general are really hard for me. No, they get frustrated when that happens. And wow, moving abroad is such a huge life change, and you are definitely exposed to a lot of stimuli when you move to a whole new country. So something I want to say too is that sometimes people don't really connect with this definition because they assume that it means that you're introverted or that you're shy. And that's not the case in terms of introversion and extroversion. So that's just has to do with how we recharge our batteries. So most highly sensitive people do feel more like introverts, and so that means that they recharge their batteries being on their own, but some of them are also extroverts too. So it doesn't mean that they're not mutually exclusive. You can be an extrovert and also be highly sensitive. Another thing too that comes up is that sometimes my clients will also say like, well, but I actually really like to be exposed to like novel stimuli, and I get excited about changes, or I like taking risks. And what that might mean is that these might be people who are highly sensitive, and they might also be something that's called a high sensation seeker. I think a lot of expats fall into that. I think they have a balance there of the high sensitivity and also the high sensation seeker. And that just means that you thrive off of change, and you might like a little bit more novelty in your life. You might like a craving for that change instead of an aversion to it that some people feel. So it might be interesting too if you're feeling like I'm highly sensitive, but that high sensation seeker, that sounds like a bit like me too. You might find that that's right exactly where you are. And so I love working with expats who identify as highly sensitive. I have to share with you that actually in my own experience living abroad, I discovered that I was highly sensitive. And so it's something that I just get a lot of excitement and joy of being able to work with clients like this, because I really understand it and I understand the challenges of it. And I also just, I've been able to come to a place of really reframing my sensitivity, which is great because I spent a lot of years of not liking it and trying to understand why was something wrong with me for feeling and thinking so deeply. So I love working with clients to help them reframe that sensitivity and even see it as a superpower. Because if you're highly sensitive, people who are highly sensitive, those are people who tend to be highly innovative and creative. They're deep thinkers. They're people who tend to help. I tell a lot of my clients, I know that for me, being trained as a therapist and the years I worked as a therapist and now as a coach, like my sensitivity gives me such a deep sense of empathy that I'm able to bring into my work. It's also something that, you might see as a teacher or another type, or as a parent or a type of helping professional. It can really be a gift, but it might take some work to reframe it and see it in that way. But the thing is that also being highly sensitive means that there are going to be some things that you need to do to practice self-care. Maybe even a little bit more than people who aren't highly sensitive. And so that's something I work with my clients on as well. So I love bringing in the tools of mindfulness and self-compassion and helping people to come up with their own self-care toolbox, maybe working on some of their tendencies to be overachievers or people pleasers, and just working on those things to help them create boundaries and just really taking care of and nurturing that high sensitivity that they have so that they can bring it to the world as a superpower. And I think living abroad is such a unique time to do this as well. I know a lot of people, you might think, okay, I'm going to go move abroad and have this amazing experience and it's going to transform me and I'm going to learn so much more about myself. And it's true. I think that that's a great way to seize the experience of living abroad for some time. But it can take some work too. And so working with a professional who really gets that and can accompany you on that journey of just learning how to best take care of yourself and help you to take care of that sensitivity, if you find that that's what you want to work on, can be so beneficial. So I'd love to know if this is a concept, this highly sensitive person is a concept that you identify with. If you feel like, yeah, that's me, that describes me. Or if you have any questions, I'd love to hear them as well. If you do feel like this is something that you identify with and you'd like to talk with me more about it and talk about how my coaching might be able to help you, support you, and help you to reframe your own sensitivity and to see it as a strength, and also figure out how to kind of find ways to really take care of yourself as well, just head to my website and sign up for a free 30-minute consultation call with me. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have a great day wherever in the world you are. Bye-bye.